Today we're going to, hello everybody, today this is Beamer Man, and today we are going to go visit with Dave Barr. Dave Barr is the author of Riding the Edge and Riding the Ice. He holds the world record for riding around the world on a Harley Davidson. And here comes our driver for the day, the lovely and talented Wrench Winch. We're headed into the mouth of the canyon, the Kern Canyon. A lot of people don't know the Kern Canyon is part of the big slip fault system that runs California, part of the San Andreas fault system. The Kern Canyon and the Kings Canyon are all part of the same slip fault system. You'll see in a minute that we're going to be traveling for about 30 miles through a very narrow canyon where the walls are in places for the first 30 miles of the trip. In some places at 5,000 feet high. This is a very popular ride with bikers in the area. As you can see, we've ridden it many times. As you can see, there's very little room for error once you enter the canyon walls. To my left, the Kern River. And as you can see to the right is rock.
Which falls down then?
Which does it is definitely sedimentary rock, and it's very brittle and fragile. And we grew up in a very middle-class family in West Covina. And when I was 17, I went in the Marines.
Oh, right.
My dad and mom signed for me to go in the Marines. And,
wow.
It's funny, after all my dad's experience, I didn't think about it at the time, but and I'll stand by. Luke, take that away from her. Be nice when you do it. You know, they signed my papers to go in the Marines, and I didn't think about it at the time, but my dad, years later, I got thinking. I said, Dad, you started the war the day it started when you were 17. I mean, you saw 90% of World War II.
Yeah, why did he want you to go in?
No, we can't have any background noise. And I says, you know, I says, weren't you worried? He says, you know, your mother had problems with it, but I didn't. He says, you're the type of kid that I knew, the only thing that taught you anything was pain and fear. He says, the Marine Corps would run out of neither. And he says what they were going to teach you, and knowing you, I knew you would always come home.
You're a learn the hard way kind of guy.
Yeah, well, very hard way. And he says, and I, you know, he says, so I never lost a night's sleep. He says, your mom had problems.
Yeah.
He says, you were learning nothing in high school, so, you know. And he was right, you know. I started learning quickly from the day. Anyway, Luke, I mowed lawns and bought a mini bike, and then I started shining shoes when I was about 11 and a half, 12 years old, and a barber shop and a bowling alley, and then had enough money to buy a Vespa and then a Honda, and, you know, 55, and I bought my, you know, first firearms and stuff like that. I just, you know, and I never had to work, but as my dad says, you know, if you will have everything any of the other kids have, anything else you're going to have to earn it.
Right.
And it was at a time that, you know, people didn't care about kids working, you know, and so I did, and I had all my own stuff, and you know, which I was always quite proud of, and took care of it, and I've been riding probably since I was about 8 years old. Now my dad had an Indian.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he, it was a Warrior. It was a two-cylinder Wankel motor. It was straight up. It's they were very rare, and it was a European and a British motor. And in the frame it was a Warrior, and quite a meter maid used them down in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And we happened to get one, and that was the first bigger motorcycle I ever rode. And I was probably about 15. Anyway, just
Motorcycles, I just see them and go nuts. Just go wild.
Well, I was just thinking about the impact. I mean, when you lost your legs, I mean...
Well, that was a progression over a few months, they being chopped up.
Right, but, I mean, did you think you'd ever get back on a bike?
I didn't know. But one of the things that I was walking on my left leg in extreme pain. And they were still irrigating it, you know, and... you know, I sat down with my orthopedic surgeon, the Commandant Odendahl, and he says, listen, you know, he says, normally I wouldn't say this, but he says, maybe you'll struggle with it. He says, you know, he says, think about it. Anyway, I met with some other, another surgeon and some people from the therapy department, you know, the physiotherapy, and I was thinking about taking the leg off. I said, no, don't do that. You have a leg, you know, you should get better, blah, blah, blah. And I says, well, you know, will you ever ride a motorcycle again? You think I'll ever skydive again? And they looked at me as if I was mad.
So you were already skydiving back then?
Oh, I started skydiving in 1973.
Okay.
And they looked at me as if I was mad. And that was my answer.
Yeah.
I says, no, you take the leg off. Get the papers, let's get them signed, and let's get going. And because I knew they were saying to me, you'll never do those things again. At least wise, with a prosthesis, I had a chance of trying. I knew the prosthesis would be stronger than anything I had. And it was very important. I didn't care what it looked like. I care way I functioned. Because it's what you do in life, not how you look, that is going to decide what your legacy is in this world.
Well, I've seen Cameron climbing the walls when he, you know, because he can't drive, he can't ride his bike, which is like total therapy and everything for him. And to be faced with the possibility of not being able to ride again, I mean, I know that'd be devastating for him. And then you were so active with everything.
Well, one day you're on your back, you know, and you know, and for months. And anyway, from the time the leg was gone, after the second amputation, I figured, well, I can't go any lower. It's all up now. And it was, you know, and and having said that, I mean, I look at also from the Christian perspective that God gives us our jobs. There were 5 other vehicles that rolled over that landmine, had a ratchet on it. Until it finally hits a certain point, and then boom, it goes off.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they've all different types of devices.
Oh wow.
And it's demoralizing. You don't know who's going to get it if there is a mine around. And I just look at that God had that was part of His plan. He had a plan for me, and He's not too concerned about how He sets us on the road, because His will be done. Now you can take what He gives you and run with it, or you can put it aside and look for safety and security, which there is no such thing anyway. And I simply pursued what I knew, and I knew my big question was, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Well, I did the only thing left open to me. I threw myself headlong in my recovery, and I just got stronger and more determined as I went. And at the end, after 9.5 months, I put on a uniform, strapped on a pistol. I've been keeping it under my bed for all those 9 months, and I walked out the front door with no aids, got into a vehicle that took me to Murray Hill, which was the Parachute Brigade headquarters, and went back in the training team. And within 2 days, I was back on a machine gun range.